Hey guys, it's Sunday night. You know what time it is? It's time for some Pro Prep Baseball. I'm Ken Arnold.
And I'm back.
He's back. He's back.
Back.
Last week
Screw Andy Diorio. Frig him.
we
That prick.
we had a guest last week and he was bucking to take your spot, man. I'm telling you.
Now I know how Letterman felt when he didn't get the Tonight Show.
Right?
Now I know. God damn it.
Damn you, Diorio. Damn
He
you.
almost Wally pipped me.
I
That
know.
prick.
I know. He was trying. He was he was making a. All right, let me go over here and see if we're running live over here on the Facebook page. Where are we at? Boom. I don't even see us. Oh, there we are. We're at the top. There you go. Look at the top, Ken, right under your nose. And yes, we are running live over on Facebook. So, Tommy, how you been, man? You been good?
I'm good. Yes, I'm very good.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
All right, there it is. All right, Victor Coco is on. Awesome. Hey, Victor Coco, thanks for joining us. I'm going to add his comment to the broadcast. Look at that, Tommy. We got comments and everything coming in. I'm going to try to put them somewhere where we can read them. There we go. And they're out of the way. Cool. All right, man. What's that coffee mug you got there? What's on the mug?
Oh, that's our championship team, 2017, baby.
Very
right
cool.
there.
Very cool. Cape Cod. Yeah.
Pretty good.
I got my coffee mug, too.
I actually played golf with these three guys today. They're good guys. They've invited me a couple of times to play, and we played at 7:36 in the morning. The reason why it's significant, the time, is that after the first hole, Bob took out a flask of single malt scotch
Yeah.
and poured it into his coffee. So by 7:50,
Yeah.
he had begun his day of drinking.
Okay, fair enough.
man.
Fair enough. I knew guys that I played with on game day. We would go golfing in the morning, and they were a good 6 in by the time we hit hole 9. I would just be like, "How do you guys do that, man?" That's
I would fall asleep.
yeah. Well, needless to say, didn't turn out too well for those guys anyway. So.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. So, lots been going on today in the sports world, baseball world, actually. Not sure if you're aware, but the governor or the mayor of New York said the Yankees and the Mets. The governor said the Yankees and the Mets could start their spring training. How do you feel about that?
Well, where are they going to do that?
In New York, at their home stadiums. That's why it was the governor of New York who said that. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine that's probably isn't that more for like the Giants and the Jets in their mini camp than it is for the Yankees? Because are the Yankees going to bring their whole production up to Yankee Stadium and have spring training?
That's what the governor was wanting the Yankees to do, and the Mets, both of them. Yeah, just do your spring training in New York, not in Florida.
Well, I mean, I read that whole 50 pages of. I mean, how I got through that, I don't know, but that protocol is going to be something that's very, very difficult to make happen.
Is that the professional players' protocol, or was that because Little League came out with a protocol as well that was 42, or youth baseball 42 pages long?
No, this was the Major League proposal.
Okay.
Where basically you get up in the morning, you take your temperature. Mm-hmm. You come to the field in uniform. You take your temperature again before you get into the ballpark.
Okay.
They would have to retrofit many of the clubhouses to accommodate the whole social distancing thing because, as you know, every locker room is one guy right next to the other. So if you're going to now separate them by 6 feet, you've got to build new accommodations for the extra space that you're going to occupy because obviously the more space that you need between players, the more total space you need.
Yes.
So they don't even know if every ballpark can do that.
And they're expanding rosters too, so you're going to have more
expanding
players.
rosters. They're going to have some players in waiting, which God only knows how that's going to work. What if you lose? I don't know. What if you lose 3 catchers? What do you do? I mean, you're not going to probably have 3 catchers. I don't know. I mean, that's a logistical nightmare in and of itself. But the whole thing was so no showers. Go back to a specified hotel that everybody stays in. Mm-hmm. There's only certain people that you could speak to. There's like a list of people, your wife, your kids, that you could have contact with. It's it's really ominous. It's really difficult to imagine how that's gonna. You got to worry about guys where they go. They can only eat in specific places, go to specific areas. I don't know. It was really uncomfortable to read, and the prospect of doing it to me is not very high.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was extensive, and how do you police that and make sure that they all do exactly that specific thing? Because I'll tell you right now, you can't police people at all with wearing a mask out in public. People are just like, they got it down here, they're wearing it over here, they're not wearing it at all. And then people are right up on top of each other. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know that there's a lot of room for optimism in any of this, but I was really taken aback when I read that. It really brought home to me how real and how difficult this is going to be to make happen.
Yeah, and think about the money.
It's every night.
Yeah.
And it's every night.
And think about, number one, the cost of it to the league itself and to the owners and any organization that is involved in the operation of a major league game. I mean, every one of them is going to be it's going to be exponential, the amount of money they have to lay out to get it done. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to work moving forward. I don't mind the proposal of doing it in Florida and Arizona and playing the games there with no fans. As long as baseball's on TV, I'm good. I don't have a problem. I can watch baseball on TV all day long. I don't need to be at a game. And I think that they can control it better that way if it's in Florida and Arizona. So
less travel.
Yeah, less travel. You don't have to travel.
Yeah, you're not gonna. I don't think there's any possibility you're seeing teams in the beginning at their own ballpark, because then you're gonna have to have, cross country travel. I mean, it's just that seems to me to be. Why would you do that? Why would you even take that on? I would imagine you're going to do it in some contained spaces where you have, the teams in the East are in Florida, the teams in the West are in Arizona, or whatever. Reconfigure the divisions some way to bring some semblance of a season together somehow. It's only going to be at most 80 games anyway, so at some point I guess it becomes almost an exhibition season. I mean, you can't play a whole lot fewer games than 80 games and have any credibility whatsoever. So. Yeah. You could see the Baltimore Orioles winning the World Series.
Well, yeah, if they get hot, and anybody can get hot for 80 games, right, for half a season.
Yep.
I see that happening as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? Before the season even started, guess what? The Orioles were mathematically eliminated anyway.
What a disaster that is!
Oh my God! And you don't even know what to do with the Orioles, because they're essentially a feeder program for everybody else. The way they run things, that's all they are.
They're like quadruple A.
Yeah, quadruple.
They're not triple A. They're quadruple A.
Yeah. So and correct me if I'm wrong. Minor leagues are done, right? They're not going to play at all. Is that true?
I have heard literally no mention of a minor league season. None. Not even from my players. So my players aren't even hearing it. So I don't, and the guys I know that are coaches and instructors and coordinators in pro ball are really in the dark. I think there's so much emphasis on the desperation for having a major league season that nobody is really paying any attention to what happens at the minor league level. I think the best you could hope for at the minor league level, and I've heard this, is a prospect kind of extended instructional ball season. Starts in November, goes for a couple of months so that your developing players get to develop. I don't think you want to go. A friend of mine's an international scouting director for the Blue Jays, and he said, and I said to him, you're not going to want your guys to go an entire season without doing anything, as long as it's safe. You bring down 25, 30, 40 guys, whatever it is. And, you have, a mini camp, instructional, whatever you want to call it. But you have your guys together. So, some guy's not home putting on 70 pounds.
Well, you need to have a feeder system, too. If somebody goes down, you got to bring somebody up. You got to have that in place. because otherwise, who are you going to go? Who are you going to go to?
Right, you could under what I read, I started to think you could run out of players because they don't plan on bringing lots of guys in reserve. And I was thinking to myself, wow, how do you know who's going to get hurt or who's not going to get hurt? And if you're like the Yankees where everybody gets hurt during the season, what do you do? At some point, you could actually, be up against it where some guy's rehab doesn't go well and, well, there's no fans, but all of a sudden your trainer has to play third base. So,
which, by the way, happened in hockey this year.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
The trainer,
the Zamboni driver.
Yeah, the Zamboni driver. Got
yes.
to play.
So, there's not a lot of reason for optimism because of how daunting making this a reality is.
Yeah. So Little League Baseball put out its 42-page manifesto today. 42 pages. You believe that? About
somebody's got a lot of time on their hands.
Yes, somebody does. Well, look, I read the article from the Washington Post today, and I can share it with you. But youth sports in this country is a $16 billion a year industry.
I'm not surprised.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
And right now, the summer is their main season. This is it. And it's all shut down. Nobody's making any money, and all the businesses and everything that support all the sports are not making a dime. So, I do know that there are some camps who are completely canceled. Camps have just said, "That's it. We're not doing it."
You mean baseball camps?
Baseball camps, football camps, soccer camps, all kinds of different camps. But the ones that my kids are in, soccer and baseball and football, they're canceled. Except there are a couple that aren't. The biggest baseball camp in Maryland is not canceled. They're still going forward with it. It's not until end of July, August, but it's still in play. They're still doing it. Nobody has come out yet and said that they're canceling. And they keep adding college coaches that are coming to it and everything else. So, will they cancel it? I don't know.
Well, let me piss off everybody. Let me alienate the very few people left that I haven't alienated so far.
Okay. Go ahead.
I kind of had this thought, and then I spoke to a few of my friends about it, and this may, for a young baseball player, I could see this as being the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And here's why. They play very little. Conventional travel ball is about what's convenient for parents, right? That's why you don't play a lot. You don't play every day because parents have to work. And you play these weekend tournaments that are really suited for parents to accompany kids to games. They play their games and they go home. They practice very little. They get very little work in. And in my opinion, it has really served to diminish the development of really good players in America. They just don't play enough. Well, guess what? Now kids are getting an opportunity that we never got and that nobody else has ever gotten. They literally could go back in time to when you had to go out, have a couple of your friends, or, when your father was available, have him. But it's going to be basically dependent upon you to find a way to take. Now you could take 1,000 ground balls a day if you want, because you're not playing any games anymore. You could go against the wall and for 3 hours occupy your time, you and your friends playing errors. You could have catches all day long. You could invent games, play short hops, take BP with a wiffle ball. Whatever it is now. Now you're going to really see, who really likes to play. See, because it's easy to like something. That's easy. It's easy to like something that you're driven to. You've got the best equipment. You get a new $400 glove and a $500 bat every year. Now is where the rubber meets the road. Let's really see now how many kids really love to play, or do they love kind of all the accoutrements of playing, the celebrity of playing.
Yeah.
Yes, the organized playing where everybody's a star. Now, guess what? Now it's tough. Now, you got to go out. Let's see some kid go take. Why aren't kids planning to get out onto a field? You don't need a field. You just need space, and take 200 or 300 ground balls a day. You have nothing but time All you need is a buddy and a couple of balls and a bat, and you could get an awful lot done. You could probably get more done from a development point of view. I know you're not going to get any exposure. I get it. I know that's what I'm going to hear. But guess what? In this day and age, you don't need exposure. If you're good, they will find you. But what you are going to get is than you've probably done in 5 summers combined.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that with the way it is right now, it kind of levels the playing field for all the kids who play youth sports. And when they come back,
could be a blessing.
Yeah, and when they come back, you're going to find out who put the work in and who didn't, who avoided it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because it's easy to say how much you like it when, you're being chauffeured to and from the games and you're eating all your, the food and the stuff and the travel, and you're playing against other teams and you say, Mike Trout plays for the other team, so we play against him, so I must be as good as Mike Trout. That's all gone now. That's all gone. Now it's about looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I want to be a better outfielder. I want to be a better pitcher. I want to be a better hitter. How can I do this? Because now I have tons of time within which to do it.
How about this? I know that the Little League put out the 42-page manual that covers everything from league finances to team snacks to gameplay. All right, but here's some of the virus-related things that they put in that are on-field things. Let me know what you think about these things and which ones should be kept in place and which ones you think should, are a little too much. So here are a couple. All right, high fives, fist bumps, off limits. Can't do it.
Good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But you could still smack somebody in the butt. They didn't say anything about smacking anybody in the butt. No, that's probably not. It's in one of the sub clauses and smacking people in the butt. All right. Masks and gloves are encouraged for coaches and umpires.
Umpires are so ugly; they should always be wearing masks.
Yeah, right.
They should always. That should be a rule forever from now on.
I'll tell you right now. In July, when it's 90 degrees outside,
how are you wearing a mask?
Yeah, you're
going to have guys having strokes and heart attacks.
Yeah, you're not getting me to wear a mask or rubber gloves. I just won't touch anybody. I can do that.
Right.
I can do that. Let's see. Players should be spaced 6 feet apart in the dugout. Have you seen the size of some of these dugouts at youth baseball?
So you have 4 guys in the dugout.
Yeah, and the rest of them are like sitting all over the place. What?
That's also part of the major league problem is how do you have guys in the dugout? What are you gonna do? Have guys in the stands? I don't know how that's practical.
Let's see. No sunflower seeds, gum, or spitting.
No spitting.
Yeah,
no spitting.
I don't know how that's possible for me though, Tom.
I would not be able to
do it.
I have difficulty not spitting in my own house,
exactly.
let alone.
I know. I walk around like.
How would Croce? Croce could not do it.
No, he couldn't.
Croce would be in violation every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, and who's going to police that? Watching people, is there going to be like?
Is that what you're going to be the manager? You're going to, Billy, you spit. That's it. You're suspended. What is that?
You're out of here, Billy. Get it? You just spit. You're out, man.
Let me say this. I get that that's probably something that you have to do.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between having to do it and being able to do it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
How are you going to do this?
I don't know. I couldn't do it, Tommy. I couldn't go out there and not spit, because it's just what I've done my entire life. And now you're asking me to stop on a dime.
But even if you could, imagine trying to manage 15 or 18 kids. How do you keep your eye on all the? I mean, it's hard enough, to just play the game. I mean, now I don't know. I don't know that that's plausible.
Yes, under normal circumstances, you can't control that many kids. At that age, because their attention span.
And you can't have eyes everywhere. I mean,
Yeah. So now I gotta hire a Nazi mom, to sit and watch. No, I guarantee you, there's going to be one mom like that anyway. So, and
you won't have to hire. Don't worry about it.
Our commissioner contacted me last week, sent an email, said, "Hey, what's your interest in getting back? We're thinking about starting in 2 weeks." I waited a day or two. I thought about it. I said, all right. I sent him an email. I said, look, I'm in. I want to get back out. I want to start playing baseball again. I'm in. But you're going to have 2 factions that you do not want to deal with. And one faction is going to feed off the other. Here are your 2 factions. The ones that are really strict and scared of what's going on. And they're going to want to follow rules to a T. And they are going to be pushing you big time.
The fundamentalists.
Yes.
The fundamentalists.
And then on the other side, you're going to have the faction of people who don't give a crap. They're just like, whatever. We're just out here playing, back to normal, back to day one, just like we did before. So now those two groups are going to be at odds. They're going to be, and you're going to have to deal with that. And I'm telling you right now, this guy right here ain't dealing with that. I'm out there to coach the kids. That's it. I don't want to have to deal with the crazy because it's going to get crazy. So
it's crazy. It was crazy before Corona.
Yeah, I know. And now imagine dealing with those two factions.
It's a good observation, though, because you're right. You're going to have, you have it now. I see it every day. I see people that one of the things that troubles me about where we are now is that, and I live in New York City, and when I'm in the city, what I'm starting to see now is not people protecting themselves, but people cowering. They're just cowering. Like I see their posture has changed, and just the way they carry themselves looks like, we're in Nazi Germany, where you're just afraid every minute of what's coming around the corner, and that's really disturbing to me because I've never seen that before. And I'm not a psychologist or an epidemiologist, but I'm an observant person, and in New York, what do? You watch people because there's so many people, and I really see how people now are not just protecting themselves from the coronavirus. They've adopted this fear posture, and that's really troubling to me.
Yeah, I see it down here as well, and people freaking out for the littlest, tiniest little thing.
Yes, very on edge.
So, for example, I was at the Essential Liquor Store the other day, out front waiting with two other guys. It was me, so it was three of us, right? And we're waiting there for a good couple minutes. And this woman walks up, and you could see her face, man. She was confused beyond just, she couldn't figure it out. She's like looking. And we're not standing in a line. We're kind of standing in a triangle, 6 feet apart. We're fine, And we all know who's going in next. Well, she comes up and she starts. She's like, why aren't you guys in a line? How do you know who's going in next? Right? So I stop her. I go, okay, calm down. I go, look, there are three of us here. You just walked up. You're number 4. All right? So you're going to go in after we go in. Right? We'll go in, and then you'll go in after following us. Okay?
Right.
And then another guy starts to mosey up, and she runs over and gets in front of him. Now there's more people. Now what? And I said, well, I can count to 5. Can you? She just couldn't get her head exploded. She goes, you're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. People like you. And I'm just like, whatever, lady. I can count to 5. And I know that, we don't need to freak out about being in a line just to get into the liquor store. Door opened up. Yeah. 3 of us went in. 3 came out. 3 of us went in. I said, you're next. Be a better number 4, lady. That's all you got to do. Don't freak out about everything. There's no need. No need. So, people are just on edge, man. Just, they're just ready to attack.
Maybe, and I don't know. I'm not all that confident in people's ability to learn lessons, when terrible things happen. We tend to, in the moment, talk about how we've learned the lesson, and then as time goes on, people have very short memories. But one would hope that this makes you appreciate the beauty of living in a free country.
Yeah, common sense, though.
Because what you've had happen here is your freedom has been taken away from you. And maybe we really now are getting reacquainted with how precious
freedom is.
Freedom really is.
Yeah, and I think that people are missing the common sense factor to it.
Please, of course.
Come on. Just use common sense. That's all you have to do, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But it's just it amazes me. It amazes me. One of the guys who came on, but he's on the watch party, said his adult team played today in Maryland. So,
interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. How did that go? And Elvis Bishop is his name. How did that go, and what did you guys do? So did you wear masks, or were the umpires wearing masks? What happened? Was there social distancing?
I have a question for Elvis.
Yeah.
Do the umpires suck more during Corona than they did before Corona? Is there any difference? Are you seeing any, or are they still just sucking all the time?
I'm pretty sure they suck. Period.
Okay.
Corona,
okay.
No Corona, doesn't matter.
All right.
Boom,
Okay.
they suck.
Good.
Yes.
Good to know.
I'm pretty sure. All my friends who are umpires are probably like, oh, right now.
You guys suck. Here's what Replay told us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you've been exposed. You suck. Okay, you're not that good.
And I love when they get all in a huff, man. When you go out and you question them, you're like, hey, You know, I'm
You
not.
should just show them this one fact. 50% of the reviewed calls are overturned, which means you're basically on the most important calls, because all the other calls anybody can make. You're the flip of a coin. That's how good you are.
Yeah.
Earl Weaver and Billy Martin and Whitey Herzog were right. You guys are not good.
50% of the time.
Get better, okay? Get better.
Can you imagine if you did your job and 50% of the time you were right? You wouldn't have it very long. But then, again, 3 out of 10 times you do your job right, you're in the Hall of Fame in our business anyway. So, but
it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to hit than it is to call out or safe. Come on, man. My God.
You're right. I was just throwing it out there. Oof. Yeah, but that is true. That is absolutely true. Oh man.
So I'm glad to hear that, though. I'm glad to hear an adult team is playing. Well, you know what? See, adults, obviously, it's easier to. I mean, as much as we laugh about it, at least you could count on adults. They're adults. They can listen to reason. Kids, once they get out and play, they're out of their minds. They're not like worried about the coronavirus. They're much harder to contain children and to make them, follow some protocol than it is grown men and women.
Yeah. A team or an organization in Missouri started playing their tournaments this past week. And the guy who teenage tournaments, and the guy who ran the tournaments was receiving death threats because they think he did it too early. So
that's great.
I mean, death threats. I mean, the guy is just trying to get the organization back up and running, and let the kids get out there and play, and people are sending him death threats. So I don't know. We live in a crazy world, man. It's insane. Sending somebody death threats over kids getting out and playing baseball.
Yeah.
That's a little nuts.
Oh my God.
That's a little nuts, man. I'm just saying. I don't know. So here's a question for you. We got about 5 minutes left until we got to end the show. But this is a skill building question. It's for players to work on something while they're in quarantine or whatever. So kids who want to work on speed right now, what are some of the things that they could possibly do to help them with their quickness, their foot speed, their footwork, if they're middle infielders, that kind of a thing? What are some things that you would recommend that somebody do? Obviously, the obvious things, get out and play baseball, or do things like that. But what are some other things that might be beneficial?
I would do all those nimble drills. I would do those ladder drills. I would jump rope, and I would run up and down hills. Okay. I do a lot of hills. I would do like the Jerry Rice workout, the Herschel Walker workout, where you just use your own body weight, let gravity work against you. You don't need any equipment. I have this big hill on my driveway, and I walk up and down, and I trot up and down that hill. I'll tell you what, man, if I were like competing, I'd be running up and down that hill all day long, because it takes a lot out of you. You just got to do things. I think your body knows. And instinctively, if you're an athlete, look, what's better than jumping rope? Why does a boxer jump rope? So that he could be more nimble in the ring, so he could move more quickly and nimbly and softly. It's the same thing. It's a dance move like fielding, or anything else that you do on the field. You got to be quick on your feet and agile. And any of those things, the ladders, in and out of ladders. I love the hill. I love jumping rope. And those things combine a lot of things. You are getting an incredible cardio workout when you do that. You're going to be exhausted. It's going to be very difficult to do. It is not easy to do that kind of stuff. So that's what I would do.
Would you recommend Montes and Striders?
No, I would not.
I would not. No, I would not.
I would not.
I would suggest too that if you're a middle infielder and you work around the bag, second base, you're a second baseman or you're a shortstop, just work on that footwork repeatedly. Have somebody flip balls to you and have you do your footwork. Step, boom, like you're going to throw. That you don't need a lot of space to do that, to work on your footwork, to have somebody feed you the ball and for you to do that footwork. Boom.
Great. That's a great example, and I have a perfect example. Logan Warmoth played for me, first-round pick with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's up on my website. great kid, terrific player. He showed a video recently. He's in his garage, and there's like a cinder block wall in his garage, and his mother is tossing him balls, and he's taking the pivot at second base and throwing them off the cinder block wall, and they're coming back to him. He's giving it back to his mother. She's giving it to him. So she's only about 6 feet away. The cinder block wall is only about 10 feet away, but he's not using a really lively ball. So when the ball comes off the wall, it just comes right back to him.
Yep. That's
an elite athlete, innovating, improvising, using what he's got, whether it's your girlfriend, your mother, whatever, your wife, you make or if there's another wall over there, throw the ball off that wall, catch it, and throw it off another. Wow, there you go. We just invented another drill.
Yeah, and I that's what I would like to see kids doing, is being creative. Get in your garage. We have a bounce back in my backyard, and we'll do things off of that where, I'll do it on angle drills. I'll say, boom, I'll throw it off the thing and make him run and go get it, working on his tracking of a fly ball or a pop-up. So things like that are really key in this time right now when you can't get out and do other things. But
in the space of a minute and a half, we just invented like 4 drills.
Yeah, which you could do.
It doesn't take it. You don't have to be, you don't have to have ever played. You don't have to know a lot. You don't have to read. You don't have to study. You don't have to have a PowerPoint. You just got to know what it is you want to do and have a ball, a glove, a wall, whatever it might be, and go ahead and do it and improvise. It will be great. Whatever you come up with will be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking last week, and this will be our last topic before we head on and move on. But we were talking about Wagner College and Andy Diorio and his time at Wagner. And I asked him why every time you guys talk about your time at Wagner College, why does it always come down to that ground ball to third base?
Oh boy.
I mean, he said every time I talk to those guys from that era, from his era, it always comes up in a conversation. I'm like, why do you guys talk about that? Was it that big of a thing, Weber? You were there. I was not.
Yeah, we had the champagne on ice, and I have to tell you something about that day. I will never, ever forget that day. I cried that day. That was a horrible, horrible day. We were going to win the championship, go to the, we were going to represent the NEC in the regional, been the first time for Wagner, and
forever.
That was a good team, and those guys really wanted to win, which I loved because that was all I really cared about. I just wanted to win, and I'll never forget that day. I could see that ground ball right now. Game over, championship. Right through the wickets into left field, and we wind up losing that game. George Gagliardi on the mound pitched a fantastic game, and so that was like a seminal moment in their college lives. And I've coached longer than they played, and I've coached and played, and that's one of the games that I'll never get over. Never.
Yeah. No, we all have them. We all have those games.
Yeah, you do.
Man. Boom.
You have both ends. You have both ends. I'll take to my grave the wonderful thrills of the wins and the guys who got me there, whether I played with them or managed them or coached them. But man, those few losses, there's not a lot of them. That's one that's going to sting forever.
Yeah, I mean, it had to have been tough. You were just one.
But you know what? I'll tell you something. I like the fact that you say that, because that validates how much it meant to us.
Yeah,
it meant
absolutely.
a lot to those guys.
And not only did it mean a lot to that group of guys, but it meant a lot to other Wagner people, alum.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, we were that close. We were that close.
Right.
You're
empathizing with us.
Yes.
Yeah, you're pulling for.
I
know.
Man. And you know what? I know the people involved in the whole thing, and to this day, man, I still love those guys. I mean, all of them, man. I'm just like, you know what, guys, man, I feel for you, man. I know how it is, and it's tough. It's tough. I've been there.
Oh my God. I had the champagne. Another NCAA violation.
Not you.
Enough, NCAA. I had the champagne. All right. I remember I had a guy from my office who came to the game. It was like the 8th inning or whatever, and I gave him the nod, and he had the champagne in his car, and we were ready to. And oh, Jesus Christ. Oh man. That was awful.
Oh, man.
Thanks a lot. Wow.
But Andy, man, it still gets him to this day.
I'm glad
Man.
it does. It shows the kind of competitor that he was. It should bother you. You know what? I said, I was speaking to a buddy of mine in pro ball coaches, and we talking about it. I said, you know what? I sent them a couple of things. Take everything personally because it is personal.
Yeah.
Well, it is personal.
Have you watched the Jordan documentary?
It's one of the best 3 things I've ever seen on television.
Yes.
Ever.
It's
Ever.
amazing, just to sit there and watch.
Our kids, their kids, people of this generation should watch that on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
On a loop.
And just to see what it's about. Just to see the drive and what it takes to be at the highest level.
And no apologies.
No, not
no
one.
apology. And you know what? And people don't like this. I say it was hyper masculine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was very masculine.
Super masculine.
All right. Here's what he did. One thing about Michael Jordan, he never forgot, which I love. He holds a grudge. Mm-hmm. I love that. He must be Italian because he holds a grudge.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He had the long memory, and he cared about one thing and one thing only. He was a guy who literally put his career on the line as a young player to get into a series that he knew he couldn't win because he felt that was like an offense to him that we weren't putting their best foot forward. And he went in against the doctor's orders in that series so that they could win and get to that Celtics series where he basically makes his mark, where they, he just lights it up. But that, who would do that today?
Nobody. Not one of them. No player in the NBA would do that today. Mm-mm.
And if a guy's willing to do that, then guess what? You better measure up. And if you don't like it, move on. I love it.
Yeah. He was the only guy, Weber, I ever met in my life that I couldn't speak. I couldn't even say my name. I was like, he was like, hey, I'm Michael. How you doing? And I was like, and he goes, and you are? And I still couldn't remember my name. I was like, even after I played in a game with him the day before, and I still
it's also a great. I love the fact that they waited 22 years. It's really so cool that they did that. Now they want to do one on Tom Brady. I mean, really, before you know it, they'll be doing one on there. It's just so weak.
I don't
anyway,
know if Tom Brady.
Right. Who cares about Tom Brady? He got compared to Michael Jordan. He's Da Vinci. He's a genius. I said this to my players. I said to my coach. I said to everybody I know, watch this. You are watching Da Vinci. That's what you're watching. So raw, so nakedly human. Mm-hmm. Like just, this is who I am. This is it. And I tell you, I think I could teach an entire year on those 10 episodes at St. John's. I would love to teach all the implications, how different the culture was, how different the NBA was, how the game was so much more difficult back then, how you paid a heavy price.
And you could compare it to, King Arthur and his court.
Yes.
The Knights of the Round Table, the king and the prince and the the hero, and how the king, the GM, was such a douche and sent every, what I mean, and then took them all back. You could do that. You could compare it all the way across the board.
No doubt. It has it has classic literary implications. There's no doubt about it. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. And for the people, I get it. I actually heard some commentators because, people just are offended by everything. Did he really have to go to those lengths? No, he didn't. You know what? Nobody does.
No.
Unless you want to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
If you want to be the greatest of all time, guess what? There's a big sacrifice you make. That's a heavy price to pay. Very heavy price to pay.
And think about that, too. He couldn't walk out of his hotel without being swarmed by hundreds of people.
Dude, the guy invented the sneaker, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. A whole industry, a sneaker industry. To this day, that people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for shoes, sneakers, Tommy. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. Why? I don't know.
And I've always said this. I've said every terrific player I've ever been around has a little criminal in him.
A little. Damn right.
Little criminal in you. You gotta have a little bit of criminal in you. And he grew up in a way that I could very much identify with, fighting with his brother. My brother beat the hell out of me every day. My older brother didn't want me to play. That is very familiar to me. When he says, when somebody you love so much, you want to kill them. Mm-hmm. Well, that was my relationship with my brother because he didn't want me to play. Your older brother doesn't want you to play with him. So now you got to be 10 times better so that his friends want you to play with him.
Exactly.
And just really resonated with me on so many levels about my whole philosophy about competition and this faux sportsmanship that's infected our game, where it's a big, love fest. I just, hey, you know what? If you want to get to that level, which everybody claims they want to be, you got to be a little bit of a badass. And sometimes you gotta rattle some cages. Good for him.
Yeah, you gotta be a little cutthroat. And if you're not gonna step up, then step the hell out. Beat it. Right. Move on.
Right.
So yeah, one or the other. And
love it.
Yeah,
love it.
And you know what? That's the way I felt when I played. I really did. I was a nice guy, but if you weren't pulling your weight, I was gonna say something. I really was, and I did, and I've got into more fights. In my professional career too, with people who just wouldn't run to first base. I remember getting into a fight in the dugout with another guy who wouldn't run to first base, and I said, "What the is your problem?" And we went at it in the dugout. I was like, "Come on!"
Imagine going to Michael Jordan and telling him that he's got to do some load management. You want to take 2 nights off, 3 nights off.
Yeah, you know what he tell you?
What happened? I was playing every night, 40 minutes a night.
I was pissed if I got to the ballpark and my name wasn't on the starting lineup. Pissed beyond belief, and I'd go to the manager and say, "What the fuck," and have them explain to me why I wasn't playing. Sorry, I said.
Look, I'm not given to hyperbole, and very few things impress me. It was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen on television. It was perfectly done. The fact that they waited 22 years gives it shitloads of credibility. They sat on it. You could do the next 10 of these on that thing alone. On those 10 episodes alone. So I'm happy that we got to see it in real time when it was happening, and it's introduced to a whole new generation who hopefully now gain a real perspective on just how big and great Michael Jordan was.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, man, Webbs, we've gone over our time. Actually, I know
he's one of my 7 geniuses, by the way.
Is he? Are we going to talk about the other 6 one night? Well, let's not do it tonight because that'll go on forever. All right.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. You ready?
Okay.
One's not human.
Okay, fair enough. 7 geniuses and one's not human. Is it a racehorse?
You're not going to say. Not discussing it tonight.
Okay, fair enough.
All
right, man. Thanks for coming on. It's good seeing you. Love you. And I will talk to you next week.
Hey, Andy, guess what? In the words of Michael Jordan, I'm back.
Andy, we'll have you back on the show, Andy. Don't worry. We'll put you in a little box over here on the side right there. All right, Webbs. Take care, man. I'll see you next time.
Be good.
All right. See ya.